Hello guys and welcome back. I hope you did the test well. Now let's see what next you have in store for right now. Rules for changing active voice into passive voice. So there are certain rules that you need to keep in mind when you're changing your active into passive voice. So what are these rules? So first off, identify the subject, identify the verb and identify the object. So these are the three key factors that helps you in converting it. So next, change the object into the subject. Now, like we did when I was discussing on how to change active into passive voice, that's exactly what we did. When we take the example of Columbus discovered America, so Columbus was replaced by America, and America was replaced by Columbus. So change the subject in object into the subject. Next. Put the suitable helping verb or auxiliary verb. In case helping verb is given, use the name. But note that the helping verb given agrees with the object. Change the verb into past participle of the verb. So a verb is an action. So past participle of the verb is action that was done in its past and adjoining its helping verb. So that gives you its past participle form. Add the preposition by wherever required. So if there is any section where a by stands suitable for the sentence, you will use it. Finally, change the subject into the object. So going back to that same example, Columbus discovered America. America was discovered by Columbus. So here, as you can see, Columbus is the subject, America is the object. Discovery is the verb and it was done in the past tense. So it was discovered. So when you are converting it, America, which was the object in the active voice, becomes the subject here. So America, so discovered. So discovery was a past tense here, so discovered. So America was discovered. So we're using the appropriate helping verb, that is was, so to represent the sense, the tense of the verb, followed by, so we are using the preposition by here because it's appropriate. So who discovered America here? So America was discovered by the subject. Finally change the subject into the object. So object, the subject, Columbus becomes the object here in passive voice. So America was discovered by Columbus. Changes of pronouns. So we all got to see here that in certain sections the pronouns had been changed. So let us see how it works. So in active voice, whatever is in the first person, I, we, you, he, she, it, they. So first and second person all gets converted in the passive voice to me, us, you, him, her, it, them into its second and third person respectively. So imperative sentence. So imperative sentences are usually commands. So let's see an example to make it work out better. So if the given sentence in the active voice is in the imperative, to go to the passive voice, use let. So passive voice equals to let plus object plus be plus past participle. So pretty much what we converted in the active to passive voice, along with that you will add the word let in the beginning, right? So let's look at an example here. So active voice, help me, and the passive voice the same thing, let me be helped. Similarly, you'll see sing a song, let a song be sung. Okay, there's a mistake there, so it is sung, S-U-N-G. So open the door, let the door be opened. Don't eat the fruit, let not the fruit be eaten. So this is a similar example of the previous active to passive voice conversion, only that it is imperative. Imperative is a commanding sentence. So help me is a command, sing a song is a command, open the door is a command, don't eat that fruit is a command. So whenever you're converting the imperative sentence to its passive form, just make sure that you convert the respective active words into its passive form prefix that with let. So the subject becomes the object here. So if me is the object in the first example, so me becomes the subject here. And B is a compulsory addition to every conversion of active to passive voice. So B comes right next to it, followed by help. So help is the subject. So subject takes the job of an object, and let me be helped. So what action is supposed to be done on you is help. So help me, when it gets converted to passive voice, it becomes let me be helped. Questions in the passive voice. So now you saw imperative sentences where questions are commands. Now what if the statements are commands? So what if instead of statements you got questions? So converting the questions into passive voice. So let's see how it's done. So if the question is in the active voice begins with a helping verb, the passive voice must also begin with a suitable helping verb. Supposing that the question begins with verb such as what or how, forms like when, what, and how, the passive voice must begin with the same. Let us see an example which helps you understand it better. So in an active voice, if you say, are you writing a letter? So in the passive voice, you will ask the same, is a letter being written by you? Similarly, we'll see more examples now. So, is she beating the child? Is the child being beaten by her? Will you accept the position? Will the position be accepted by you? Who broke the window? By whom was the window broken? Why did you write such a letter? Why was such a letter written by you? Where can you hide this box? Where can the box be hidden by you? So even here guys, though it is starting with a question, notice that what helping verb is it starting from. For example, let us look at the second question. Is she beating the child? So is a helping verb here. So she is the subject and the child is the object in the active voice. So here it is being replaced in the passive voice. Is remains as it's the helping verb. So she becomes her in the passive form. So it goes to the end. The subject becomes the object. And the object, the child, remains the same, comes to the subject. So is the child. So the action is beating. So it is in present continuous form. So when it is converted into the reported or passive voice, then it becomes beaten. If it was in the past tense, it was beated or was beaten. So is the child beaten? By is the compulsory addition in passive voice for such examples. So yeah, by just takes its position on its own. So I hope this makes sense to you. So we'll take one more example to make it much clearer for you. Let's take the last example. Where can you hide this box? Where can this box be hidden by you? So even here, where is still a question tag, so it remains the way it is. Can you? So you is the active voice, so it remains the same even when it goes to the passive voice. So can you becomes by you there. So and this box remains the same in the active voice and the passive voice because it is referring to the box with a helping preposition. So this particular box. So it comes the similar way to the subject's place. So where can you hide this box? Where can this box be hidden by you? So one quick trick guys. Whenever I felt it confusing when it came to active and passive voice, I did a trick to myself. I would take a pencil and underline the subject and the object immediately as I recognize it in the sentence. And when I would replace it, I would just put the remaining helping words such as this or by or what or where. So all this, whatever remains the same, I would just remember the rules, keep it the way it is. Then I would change the structure of the sentence and see which is the most convincing and the most easiest way to listen to. So most of the time in the English language, if you listen to it and you feel it is right, it is often right. Now, the second part is how to convert a passive voice back into an active voice. Now, while changing the passive voice into an active voice, you must keep in mind all the rules of the active voice that you practice right now. When you are converting into the passive voice, you just do it in the reverse order. So we come across sentences in the passive voice without any subject or agent also at times. So in that case, supply the appropriate subject on yourself. So sometimes, like in the previous examples when you saw, at places the subject had been negated when it was converted into the passive voice. So you can just add the appropriate subject on your own at times like that. Now to decide whether the given passive voice sentence is in passive voice only, and any one of the following constructions should be present there. So these following constructions is usually how a passive voice is built. So you have a fixed structure to know how a passive voice is. So recognize how a fixed structure of a passive voice is. Converting an active voice into passive voice becomes easy. Similarly, as soon as you recognize a passive voice, converting it back also becomes easy. So I think this is the best hack for you guys to understand how to convert active into passive and vice versa. Now, so what are these structural sections? So we have 5 different types of structures for a passive voice. The first one is, usually the sentence will have is, was, are, were, am. So these are helping verbs that, or the auxiliary verbs that will be used. So along with that, you will have the past participle form of the verb. So most of your passive voice sentences are usually in the past participle form. So along with that, you just need to see what are the auxiliary verbs that are being used. So at places, as you saw in the first example, it could be is, was, are, were, am. And the second one is be or to be. Third one is being. 4 is been plus the past participle form. And finally, let be. Let it be. Let her be. Let him be gone. Or let her come inside. Or let that dog stay. Now certain examples here should help you understand it further. So let us see the passive form of the sentences now. The thief was finally arrested. So the active voices. So there is only the law enforcement who can arrest anyone. So there was no word that is police. So that is being added here. So remember to add the appropriate subject wherever it's necessary. So the police finally arrested the thief. We were taught grammar. So here we have something that has were. So that goes back to the first structure of the passive voices here. So it gets converted to the teacher taught us grammar. Even here, we didn't know it was the teacher. So in active voice, you can add the respective subject, that is teacher, because often it is teachers who teach you grammar. Similarly, my purse has been stolen. Somebody has stolen my purse. Or you can even say, somebody stole my purse. The patients were looked after. The doctor looked after the patients. Sometimes you can also correct the sentence, even use the nurse. So whatever respective position of authority comes into the picture here, when you are converting into the active voice, you can use that to make it into the subject. So the patients were looked after. So that is a passive voice. So the patients can be looked after by a nurse, can also be looked after by a doctor. So the doctor looked after the patients also is correct. The nurse looked after the patients is also correct. Or sometimes if you want to get really creative and say you want to use a proper noun, so you can also say Mother Teresa looked after the patients. So even that works. So you know what time it is now. It is time to take up your final test of active and passive voice. So here I will be covering in the questions all the sections of active and passive voice, how to convert active into passive and passive into active respectively. So take this test. I'll see you in the next episode, and until next time, all the very best and good luck out there. Thank you.